Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Chair Sessions with Dr. D. My guest today is a talented young musician who's entrenched in the South Jersey music scene, playing the trumpet for 3 different bands. I'm talking about PJ Keiter, and today PJ is going to be talking to us about his musical background and influences and each of the 3 bands that he's in, and also some current projects. So, with that, welcome, PJ.
Thank you so much for having me.
Glad to have you on board today. So we got a lot to talk about. You're busy, 3 bands. But let's start from the beginning. How did this musical path begin for you?
Well, I've always been around music. I mean, since the womb. There's pictures of me at 6 months with the radio on in the background, and I don't know if I can tell you how many CD cases we have between my mom and my dad. So we've always been around music. And then I started with the school band when I summer going into 4th grade. I started on the trumpet because my uncle played the trumpet and I thought he was cool, so I wanted to be like him.
Nice.
And so I picked up the trumpet and then went through school band, this and that. And then actually a friend of ours, Mr. 𝘗𝘓, has his own charity band called the SSPs, the Supersonic Powers.
Okay.
And he was over at the house one night for meeting with my dad about something. And he saw my brother and I playing our horns. And he was like, "Hey, do you guys want to play with my band?" And I was 12 and my brother was 9. And we were like, "Yeah, sure." So we played at Great Bay Country Club for a golf tournament. At 12 and 9, we did like Tequila and Vehicle by the Ides of March. And everybody was screaming and hollering. So we were like, "I want to do that again." That's the end of it right there.
Wow. So you got your first experience of like performing on this, on a stage in front of people, getting applause and just feeling it.
As our friend Don Massini, who was the drummer at the time, said to my mom, they got their first taste of musical crack.
Nice. And from there, it just took off, I guess. Tell me about you talked about a lot of CDs in your house.
Yes.
What's in that CD collection that you were listening to? What were your parents listening to? What were you exposed to?
So my mom was raised traditional pop. She was raised on Sinatra and Dean Martin, but also she forged her own path into growing up in the 70s with rock and roll and soul music. So there was there's Rolling Stones, The Who, and then it goes right into like Smokey Robinson and like the Temptations and the Delphonics and stuff like that.
Nice. So of all those that you mentioned, what was resonating strong for you at a young age?
Oh, big band jazz for sure. That's always been like my go-to comfort music. No matter what, I could listen to that all day, every day.
So after that initial early, you call it crack experience, so to speak, from performing early on, where did it go from there? How did you start to develop your musical skills?
Well, we started playing with the SSPs about 8 or 9 gigs a year, which was, that was enough for us. We were in middle school at the time.
Wow.
And then as we got into high school, I was in a very interesting situation where my main director for high school music, Mr. Derek Rahali over at Mainland Regional High School, he was a trumpet player and I was a trumpet player. So he was extra hard on me in the best way to push me to do every single band I possibly could. And so he had me in everything. And, I'll tell you a funny story that I think if you believe in fate, if you believe in whatever. But so when I was in high school, my freshman year of high school, I played lacrosse for the school. And then my sophomore year, I went back and tried out again, and I got cut from the team at the end of tryouts sophomore year. And I was really down on myself and whatever. And so I walked into the band room to get my stuff to go home after the tryout. And Mr. Halley actually was the one who said, "Get your trumpet out and try out for jazz band right now." And I said, "You know what? Maybe I will." And then ever since then, I just was hooked on live music and jazz in general.
Yeah, so I guess, you mentioned like fate. Is it fate? It sounds cliche, but it sounds like it's the old when one door closes, another one opens up.
That's exactly how I saw it, yeah.
And it sounds like this door for you has opened up to something pretty big. I mean, being involved in 3 bands sounds like it could get pretty hectic. Sometimes just being in one band is enough for people. Have you had formal training? How did you learn the trumpet?
I did. I started, you do your lessons and everything up, and you do the big learning curve around here for students is the Essential Elements book. So you start with that when you're in like 4th grade or whatever. And then you move your way up. And then once I got to high school, I was told by my director that he was like, "You need to get private lessons." So I've been taking private trumpet lessons with Mr. Dave Seals of Northfield for over 10 years now. And I can safely say I would not be where I am without him. Are
you still taking lessons?
Oh, yeah. I don't ever intend to stop taking lessons. I mean, there's always more room to improve. There's no... I believe it was Arturo Sandoval said, "Nobody has ever mastered the trumpet. There's no end to the instrument."
Wow, a believer in lifelong training, and always, it sounds like you have this kind of sense of wanting to always just keep learning, growing, and evolving.
Well, that's the only way to be, especially, I'm in the wedding band, The Exceptions, and they kick my butt pretty good. But we play a lot of the same songs, but it's not the repetition that you need to be worried about. It's you can always play those songs better.
So always looking to improve on what you're already doing.
Right, because of especially the type of events we do. We do, private parties and weddings at like the Crystal Tea Room in the Wanamaker Building in Philadelphia, and Ballroom at the Bend. And you're getting to be a part of the best day of these people's lives. You want to make sure you play the best you absolutely can.
Right on. Fantastic attitude. Great mindset. So while we're talking about, I guess we'll start with The Exceptions. Since you already brought it up, let's start with that band, The Exceptions. So you told us a little bit about it. What else can you tell us about The Exceptions?
So I can tell you that since I joined June 6, 2021, and you know what? My first gig was very funny. So I was in, and I still am in, the band Plaid Salmon that we've done for a while, and we always wore suits to our gigs just because that's what we did. We were like a Blues Brothers kind of thing. And so I get called for this band, and I go, "Okay, we're playing Seaport Pier on the Wildwood Boardwalk." That was my first gig with them. And I show up in suit pants and penny loafers and a dress shirt. And the other guys in the horn section are wearing like T-shirts and cargo shorts with holes in them and flip-flops. And Phil Valentino, he rest in peace, he was the manager, owner, and keyboard player of the band. But he was the one in charge then, and I showed up and he was like, "Hey, you did a good job, but don't wear that again, all right?"
Missed the memo, right?
Well, I didn't know,
Yeah,
I always
right.
thought you had to dress up. I was playing a big venue, and have you been to Seaport? The stage is huge. It makes
No,
you
I've
feel
never
like
been
a
there.
rock star over there.
Cool.
But yeah, that was, I came overdressed. So the next day when we played the deck at Golden Nugget, I was like, okay, I'm going to wear board shorts and boat shoes and look like a person.
So The Exceptions does both, it sounds. Weddings, party, private events, and also local venues. I mean, the deck is that's a pretty good stage too. They get a pretty good crowd out there, right?
Absolutely. And The Exceptions as a band is over 50 years old. I believe they started, they started like 56 years ago or something like that. But they've been playing the deck at the Golden Nugget every Sunday for over 25 years.
Wow. That's the Golden Nugget in Atlantic City for those people who are outside of New Jersey. It's a great venue, beautiful scenic spot out there. Outdoors. In the summer, it's an awesome place to play and even just hang out and be in the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and they take care of us over there. We do some of their private events for Golden Nugget. They have a beautiful ballroom, the Rush Lounge, their club. We play in the winter, which is really fun. And then we do some fundraisers. And we used to do New Year's Eve in the Wave Lounge. They have some very nice venues over at Golden Nugget. They take care of us.
Awesome. What are some other venues that you play in the area?
So we actually have a couple of new ones for the summer. The Wharf in Wildwood down near us, they just built a new beach bar outside. So they have us in their afternoon slot, 2 to 6 p.m., which is going to be really fun. It'll be like a day party kind of thing.
Cool. Summer at the Jersey Shore.
Oh, there's nothing like it. And
exactly.
Then we always play the Point Tiki Bar in Somers Point, New Jersey. That's one of our big spots.
Another great venue, very popular venue for the Southern Shore area.
Absolutely.
Any other venues down there?
Yeah. I mean, we do a lot of Atlantic City. We're at Harrah's, and we do events for Borgata and Bally's. A lot of them are, very accommodating, very nice. And if we're doing a private event, they really take care of you.
Very cool. So that's the exceptions. Now let's talk about your sextet, the PJ Keiter sextet. Yes.
So that is my brother Will. He was on the show before, I believe. He's a great bass player. Taught himself how to play bass basically from YouTube and Instagram. But originally, and he still is a really good sax player. And our brother from another mother, Ricky Rome from Northfield, is our trombone player. And the three of us have always loved playing jazz since high school together. And then we got out, I want to say 3 or maybe 4 years this summer, I think. We used to do the Cape May Ferry Terminal every Tuesday. And we would play as the jazz sextet for the incoming and outgoing passengers. And that was like our big opening up to playing live jazz to a big audience every single week. And we got hooked on that instantly.
Cool. So how do your sets differ between your sextet and the exceptions? Is there much of a difference in the vibe in the set list?
Oh, absolutely. The sextet is all straight ahead jazz. We're playing traditional. We play stuff like Louis Armstrong tunes. We'll do old Rockin' Chair or something like that. And then we play, the classics. We'll do Fly Me to the Moon and stuff like that. And the exceptions is really like all top 40 radio stuff. Like we're doing Jackson 5 and
cool.
Justin Timberlake and stuff like that.
Now let's get to Plaid Salmon.
So I'll give you the whole story if you want.
Absolutely.
So we were in high school, and a couple of guys had a band from the songwriting class called Plaid Salmon that I joined when I joined the songwriting class. And we just thought it was they thought it was a funny name. It was, whatever for a band. And then our one friend, Andrew, told us, hey, you guys should sign up for the talent show and do a band as a joke. And we were like, you know what? We will. Then we all dressed up as the Blues Brothers with the white socks and the black suits.
Nice.
And we did Peter Gunn theme into Soul Man. And we won the talent show. And then we went to regionals, and we won regionals and went to states. And we almost won. I think we came in like 3rd or 4th or something like that. But we did that. And then I believe we put out a thing to the local town halls. And we're like, hey, if you have concert events, we would love to play for one of you. We're all local. And then we went and played at Birch Grove Park in Northfield at the little, I guess it's
the band shell?
Yeah, the band shell. I was going to say cabana. I couldn't think of the word.
Yep, the band shell.
And we played out there, and then we ended up getting like 50 or 60 people out there, and we got paid for the gig, and we went, wait, we can do this and make money? This is crazy.
Nice. So, and with Plaid Salmon, if I'm not mistaken, because I've seen some of the videos that you guys have, would you say compared to the other bands, a little bit more Funk?
Oh, well, we are also Ricky plays with a swing band called Swing That Cat, and he plays with the Billy Walton Band, which is like a rock band cover band around here.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
My brother plays in a bunch of sub gigs with other guys because he's good enough. He can go do it with a bunch of other musicians. And he also has his own rock band. And then I'm in the Exceptions. And we just, a couple of years ago, when I unofficially left Plaid Salmon to go to the Exceptions, we all decided we were going to not be like every other cover band. And we were going to just do whatever we wanted and have a good time. But you had to sound good doing it.
But Plaid Salmon's still playing, right?
Oh, absolutely. We actually just booked like 6 more dates in the last week. We have a bunch of stuff coming up in June and July.
Great.
So the end of June, sorry.
Yeah. Tell us where Plaid Salmon plays. Are they playing pretty much the same, very similar areas, similar venues?
Yeah, I mean, they play smaller venues, which I actually like a little more sometimes, depending on the gig. Like for the Exceptions, like I love the Deck. And it's really fun, but they do Fake Fest at the Golden Nugget one Sunday every summer. It's like a tribute band festival all day.
Yeah, great festival.
Yeah, so we are off from the Deck for that one Sunday. So for that one Sunday, we booked ourselves at for Plaid Sam, we booked ourselves at Yesterday's in Marmora, and we're going to do that. So I technically don't have one Sunday off this summer, which
wow.
I'm happy about.
Busy.
Oh, you should see my calendar between all I color code the Google Calendar, so it's either like red, blue, or purple. There's a gig almost every Friday, Saturday, Sunday until October.
That's great. It sounds like you get to do a couple of different things with your roles in the 3 bands. You get to play a pretty diverse set list. You get to develop your skills and evolve as an artist. Vision for the future. Well, where do you want this all to lead?
So, I mean, right now I am at a point in my life where I just finished college. I just started a new job that's not music related whatsoever. But I am going to get my teaching certificate this summer. I already have my substitute certificate, but I would like to eventually teach music in some capacity. But I do think the bands, Plaid Salmon is something we could potentially just do forever because there's no set person. That's like the beauty of Plaid Salmon is it's a rotating carousel of musicians. We have, with 3 bass players, 4 guitar players, 3 or 4 drummers, 2 or 3 singers, that if somebody can't make something, you just book the date and then you call somebody who can do it and then we just make it happen. Oh,
so the Plaid Salmon is more of a revolving band members.
Yes, and there's a core that stays for 95% of the gigs, but everybody else is very busy with life. And a lot of the people in Plaid Salmon are also in 2 or 3 other bands. So if you give them a month's notice and say, hey, here are all Rick just sent out the dates for the summer yesterday to the band, and we have 3 different guitar players, 2 different singers, 3 different drummers, and 2 different bass players in the next 6 weeks already.
Nice. So that makes it easy to not have to worry about canceling a gig because everybody can't get it together on the same date.
Right, and that's the nice part about them. Everybody we work with in Plaid Salmon is a really good sport, and nobody ever takes it personally if they can't make a date and they go, hey, I got to call a sub for this, and then they're just happy to make sure we get it done because everybody's been a real team player, which makes it easier.
Does Plaid Salmon do private parties?
We do, and a couple of years ago we did the Ruby Red Gala at the Harrah's conference room for the ACCC Culinary Institute graduation with the food festival. There was like 300 different stalls with different food to try, and we got to play for like 4,000 people or something like that.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, so it's more cover and bar stuff for Plaid Salmon because we really like to just jam out on some stuff too. It's not traditional where we're just playing like the 2.5 minute recording of the song, do a solo, and then move on. We like to stretch them out.
So the Exceptions and Plaid Salmon do private parties, and Your sextet, I'm imagining, also does private parties?
Yes, we haven't really done anything besides a couple of small events. We did one event for a Methodist church in Vineland. We did like their summer soiree, whatever, and we got to play for a nice crowd. But we have had the fortunate opportunities to play a couple of different clubs and have a couple of different residencies down here in South Jersey. We used to play one Thursday every month. They had us for a whole year over at, I think it's called 830 East now. It used to be called Casey Ray's in the Landis Theater in Vineland, upstairs in that building. They took care of us too. That was a great gig. And then it ended up, they ended up changing the whole venue and like remodeling. And then we just never reconnected, which it was nothing bad. They just rebranded and we moved on. But well, we have had the opportunity to have a couple of residencies. And from that, we met, this kid, he's older than me. PJ 𝘒𝘓. He's a great dude. He's a good singer and he's a good DJ. And we got with him at the Vineland gig. And then he was like, "Hey, we should get in the studio." And we went, "You know what? You're right." And then 2 months later, we recorded an album. It was my debut album for my name on the label. It was called Make It Snappy with the PJ Keiter Sextet. It's on Apple Music and Spotify and all that stuff. But 2 months later, we put an album out, and then we got a gig at the 𝘗𝘗 the Bach Bar on 5th Street, 5th Avenue in Philadelphia. And we played right up on the rooftop. And that the picture from that gig is actually the album cover for that album.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, that's probably a great panoramic view of the city up there, right?
Oh yeah, no, it was a really nice picture, and we all are actually smiling and looking at the camera, which never happens. So
that was your debut album with your sextet. When was that released?
That was 2022.
Right after COVID. Yep.
Yeah, we were gigging. We were gigging at the end of toward that summer of 2020. We did like the social distancing gigs and stuff like that. That was with Plaid Salmon. We played a lot of stuff outside.
That was a crazy time.
You don't have to tell me. It was great. Being in 3 bands and being in college online during COVID was not something I'd ever want to do again.
Yeah, that was definitely was a crazy time, and especially for musicians who all the venues were shut down. So, are you working on any new recordings?
Yeah, we're trying to get back in the studio right now. We have under the Cesario, our buddy Nick Cesario. He's the drummer for Plaid Salmon, and he also is the the owner and proprietor of his own quartet that I am fortunate enough to be in. We have 2 albums out with him. We have Debut out under Cesario, CESARIO Quartet. And then last year we did an album with my buddy Ricky, and it was Nick Cesario Quartet +1, Keeping It Greasy was the name of our album. And we put that out last year, and it was 4 original tunes that we all culminated to write. And then we did a cover of Pure Imagination.
Cool. So you're no stranger to the studio.
No, and I've been in a couple of different studio settings, and it's not something that you can just jump into for sure. Being in the studio really takes a different mindset, in my opinion.
So tell us a little bit about that mindset. What's the core that's needed for the studio mindset?
I think one of the big virtues you have to have in the studio, especially as a horn player, because I don't play the whole time, not somebody like the drummer or the bass player, but not only respect for your fellow musicians while they're working and you're standing and waiting, but patience for when you are working on your part and then you want to go back and fix, one note, and you got to wait for them to set everything up, and you can't rush anything, in my opinion. And even if you feel like, oh, you know what, that's good enough. It can't be good enough, in my opinion. That was what one of the big things when we were in the studio was we did the whole tune, and there was one chorus that didn't feel right, and the engineer was like, "Oh, we can just cut that one chorus," and we were like, "Nope, it's got to fit. We got to do the whole thing again."
Okay. So patience is a big one that I hear, with artists. That is, like you said, very important, because it's a lot of downtime if everybody's in the recording studio at the same time doing their parts at different times, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you told us where to find the albums. I'm going to put links for anyone interested. I'll put the links in the descriptions of the YouTube interview that's going to be posted online. Social media? You're on social media with the bands?
Yes. The Exceptions is at the Exceptions Philly is their at, and Plaid Salmon is at the Plaid Salmon, and all of these are for Facebook and Instagram. And but the sextet actually only just has a Facebook page, but that is just the PJ Keiter Keiter sextet. Awesome.
PJ, I want to thank you so much for coming on today and telling us about your music and your history. We're going to put your information and the social media links on the descriptions for the YouTube video. I hope you'll come on again.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a really good time.